Welcome on the News Review Belt on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the newspapers. And before I introduce my guest, of course, the segment brought to you, as always, by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. Go check it out. In recent times, I've had the unfortunate privilege, if you may call it that, of hearing the stories of some people who are suffering prostate issues. And guess what? The least in terms of age is just in his mid-30s. Don't risk it. Start getting yourself checked. If you're a woman, fertility issues, do you know what's happening as far as your fertility is concerned? That's why you ought to make tracks to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic and get free screening. Here's where you can locate them. If you're in Accra, they are at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. If you are in Kumasi, you can locate them at Kumasi, Kronomabwe behind the Angel Educational Complex. If you are in Takrade, Anaje State is where you can locate them. If you are in Tema, Community 22 is where you can locate them. There's also Tichiman Hanswa and Isiama in Nzima. Their call lines, pick up your phone. Yeah, go ahead. This is where you can reach them on. Give them a call later in the day. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But right now, I have the pleasure of inviting to join the conversation and welcoming aboard Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. He also heads the Center for European Studies. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's a wet morning. It's been raining in bits and pieces for the last 2-3 days, and this morning as well. It's a bit of that kind of morning, but we thank God for everything. We thank God for the showers as well. But I'll throw it to you like I usually do. A lot has happened over the last week since we spoke. I'll give you about 2 minutes to share your thoughts on any of the developments. I don't know whether we spoke about the assault of that City FM, City TV reporter by a member of the NDC on the back of what happened at the UTV. Then we heard Mr. President, in the Odododiodo constituency, our very own Nilante Vanderpoy is stepping down for others to take over. And you would think that after what had happened at UTV, the political parties would think through some of these things better. But guess what? There was another assault of someone who works with City FM and City TV, a lady. There's also been talk from Mr. President, or talk about the rhetoric of Mr. President. I don't know whether you listened to him when he went to the Volta region and what he said about ordinarily, you people don't vote for me. So insinuating that maybe he shouldn't be there. Some have taken him on. I have taken him on. But I don't know what your thoughts are. And the latest being the haircut promised and delivered, 40% nominal haircut that is staring us down the throat. Any quick reflections?
Yeah, I'll look at the president's comments in Volta region. I would describe it as unfortunate, unnecessary, insensitive, and unfair to the people of Volta region. Why am I saying that? And above all, it undermines the spirit and letter of the Constitution. You look at the Constitution, the presidential oath is there, that I, blah, 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 having been elected to the high office of the president, blah, 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 times will not permit us, but I'll paraphrase, that I'll dedicate myself to the service of the well-being of Ghanaians, do right to all manner of people, and also dedicate myself to the service and the well-being of the people.
No, Doc, not to impede you, but this very same thing you're saying, that's immediately he said it. Honestly, when I heard the video, I thought, no, this can't be true. So I went and looked for the video. Then I listened to the audio. And what you're quoting is immediately what sprang to me. And I was saying, in the oath of office that you take, you say you'll be this to all manner of people. So why do you have to get to this point?
Why this?
So sorry for the interjection. Please go ahead.
No, that's a good one. So you dedicate yourself to the service and well-being of the people of Ghana and do right to all manner of people. All right. So even if the people are not Ghanaians, you owe it a duty to yourself and to the constitution and to the good people of this country that you do what them good, all manner of service and all that. So why, Mr. President, why this comment? And unfortunately so, that was not a proper forum. It was a wrong forum. The lawyers say that. It was a wrong forum. The forum did not warrant that type of comment that you have to vote for me, that kind of thing. And then if it wasn't the case, blah, 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 blah. But that is unfortunate. So I believe that it was, as I have already said, unfortunate, unnecessary, insensitive, and unfair. And it undermines the spirit and letter of the Constitution, all right? Because the president is supposed to provide support for everybody. He's the father of all. And that is why the president in Polkasan said he's a symbol of the state. He symbolizes the state, not only at home, but abroad and all that. But here you are. If you can't even be there for all, how do you then symbolize the state when you are outside this country? I think, Mr. President, this one, I'm sorry, you did not do well at all. But we want to take this opportunity to remind the president that he's the father of all. And he knows more than I do as far as constitutional issues are concerned. And that we want him to know that he will serve us at all time, and we will give him the necessary respect at all time. And we'll support him to succeed, because it is part of our duty to also support every government to succeed. But when he also do something which is untoward, which is not in tune with the rules of the game, we are quick to point it out to him with respect. So this one, we believe that he did not do well. It is unfair to the people. And it brings to mind the issues that always come to the fore, that and you recall Mr. Vincent Asisi once upon a time told us that political parties are like electoral machines, that they always look for opportunity to campaign for the next election. Is it the case or is it not? It brings to sharp focus that statement. And that is it or the case that you are looking for what? Electoral victory or people to vote for you? No. After you have been voted to office, you go with your oath by providing service, by supporting the people. When the time comes for them to vote, they can decide to vote for you or vote against you. And voting against you doesn't mean that they hate you. I mean, they are exercising their right, and nobody has any right to tell them the direction of their vote. And Mr. President, in a short time...
Someone made mention of the fact that the MPP that he's speaking of secures about 100,000 votes in the Volta region. 100,000.
In addition to this, they won the whole seat.
Yes.
For the first time in the Fourth Republic.
Yeah.
And even if they get 0, does it warrant that type of comment? The people who vote decide to vote in a particular direction, and nobody has any right to comment on the direction and all that. You can appeal to them. As to whether they will accept your appeal is another one. But they will vote and vote the way they want to vote at all times. Let politicians remember that. That if you want their vote, do their bidding. You have to what? Convince them that you have what it takes for them to what? Give you their vote. Otherwise, people will continue to vote the way they want to. But it doesn't take away their right and their interest within the national scheme of things. No. So this one, Mr. President, with respect, I disagree with you vehemently, and I think it's unfair to the people of Ghana and the people of Volta region. They are in a very difficult situation. All that you needed to show to them is empathy, sympathize with them, pledge your support to them, and then they move on. It is not easy, the situation they find themselves. I can imagine me returning from work at Legon only to come and find my mattress and bed on the surface of water. Can you imagine that? It's not easy. And these are people who are already in vulnerable situations and all that. The best we can do is to show support, is to empathize with them and then strengthen their resolve that, look, all will be well and that I am with you. That is all. It is not too much that the people can ask for or it can be given to the people. No.
Thank you so much for your reflections on these matters. Let's get into the papers now, and we'll start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Limited voter registration exercise, EC captures 910,996 voters, exceeds 700,000 target by 200,000. Then, President inaugurates second phase of Sinotrack assembly plant at Katamanso. There's also major Mahama murder case. Prosecution addresses 7-member jury. Young persons suffering from mental health in Ghana, alarming. That's according to Dr. Ekwemit. You can trust that I'll get into that story because when I go round, the young people I interact with, those whose dreams are getting shattered, those who sometimes are slipping into despondency, those who feel nothing is working for them on the back of where we find ourselves. A lot of such people are going through issues that we may not see. Next thing we know, something has happened to them and we go, oh, it's just that the systems didn't help. Alleged coup plotter denies joining group to topple government. Then on the back page, Akosombo Dam spillage victims cautioned against use of polluted water. But when you leave them without water, I think I saw someone who had been drinking some form of contaminated water. It was only yesterday or so that the person had, potable water to drink. There's Ghana set to produce anti-snake venom. I'll bring you most of these stories, but let's start with the main one about the Electoral Commission, and then I'll go on to other stories very quickly. So, the Electoral Commission says it is, quote, satisfied with the conduct and outcome of the just ended limited voter registration exercise. The Commission said against a target of 700,000 out of 1.35 million restorable population, it has captured 910,996, exceeding its target with over 200,000 registrations. So the projection, 700,000, then they actually got 910,996, but out of a population of 1.35 million. A deputy chair of the Electoral Commission in charge of technical services, Samuel Tete, at the Commission's Let the Citizen Know series in Accra yesterday, said it achieved this feat as a result of well-trained, committed staff, adequate provision of materials, and improved network systems. My question to you on this, do you feel, because eventually the entire population that we're looking at, 1.35 million, we may have to go back to some of these areas in the Volta region, for example, that complain vehemently about the slow or small numbers captured. But do you feel on the back of this excess in registration that the EC has proved its detractors wrong? Those who were saying, look, do it this way, do it that way, and rope all people in. Has the EC, so to speak, shamed its detractors?
The EC has not shamed anybody. It is the duty of the EC to listen to the people that they serve at all times. That pusher on the part of the EC was annoying and unfortunate. Why? You don't want to listen to the people. All right, listen to them and then bring your expertise to bear. This number that you claim you have attained, what about those who did not get opportunity to register? You are talking about next year, they can register. But who says tomorrow is for you? Tomorrow is not meant for you.
Some of them, in fact, I mean, God forbid, but knowing how fluid life is, some of these people may not even make it into next year for registration. And that is a fact of life.
It is a fact. And Plato has told us that he has no control of tomorrow. Make do when the sun is shining today. Give them the opportunity and let me throw that opportunity away that I have registered and that next year I will not vote. It's my right to refuse to vote. All right. But don't deny me the opportunity to register. So any argument about it, it was a bogus one. It cannot be accepted at all. All right. Yes, you have attained your target. What about me, who also wanted to achieve my aim of registering for the first time? As a young person who is coming up in life, have I also achieved my target? Have I also achieved my aim? That is the million-dollar question for the EC, and not to praise themselves that they have achieved their target. What about me, the first-time registrant and a voter? Have you given me the opportunity to achieve my interest or my aim? No. Democracy is not a monologue. It's a continuum and a dialogue process that continues forever. So you listen, and then you make adjustment to suit the interests of the people. I will move on to the issue of the mental health, and which you have touched on rightly. It's a good thing that we need to support at all times. Sometimes, if you talk to doctors, they will tell you that not everybody who walks on the street is fine relative to mental health issues. All right. So if we are a country and we want to pay lip service to mental health, we'll risk destroying the whole society one day. So I am of the firm belief that the state must put its attention on that, and not only just focus on the matter, but also providing the needed resources to be able to do this work and do it well by the practitioners. All right. Sometimes you see the idea is there. We make all the talk, but the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal, will be absent. And more often than not, that is the issue in Ghana. We think that there are unnecessary things that we spend money on. This is a critical issue that needs a lot of attention and resources so that we get it fixed once and for all. I heard about something you talk on before I'll come to the spillage, anti-snake venom.
Yes.
I am very much interested in this because as a son of a farmer and myself a farmer, it is critical. If you have lived in a rural area, snake bite is the daily occurrence. Yes, my father was a herbalist, and he was the toast of many when he came into issue of snake bite in his village. All right, he will give you herbs and you are good to go. Today, where are those people? They don't exist anymore. We need that. There was a time in my area, I was driving and somebody stopped me that, hey, I'm sorry, I have to stop you this way. My brother has been bitten by a snake and around and all that. We ended up in a hospital and all that. I left them. But later, stories that you hear from a hospital that they say, oh, what's the color of the snake that bit you? Can you imagine? Can you identify the color? If that, so I was wondering, I said, what kind of statement is that? I am in a difficult situation, bitten by a snake, and you want me to be able to recount to you the color and all that. If this thing is anything to go by, then I think they must look at something more meaningful than that, and then support us so that you have this thing and all that. Because it can happen to you at any time. You don't need to be in the village for you to be bitten by a snake. It can happen anywhere. And, you know, these things must be available. Farmers need this. People in the town and cities, they need this at all times. So I am in support of that we are able to produce our own, and then the government will support. Come back to the issue of the spillage of water from the dam. All right. It is unfortunate we find ourselves in this situation. The issue, when I listen to the stories, Vinyari said, well, they give all manner of education and all that. But how we have arrived here is where the beef or the problem is. All right. Water is spilled and there is destruction and all that. But I come back to look at it. I said, where the authorities giving enough information to the people to prepare their minds on this. Did they foresee this thing happening?
There's been a lot of banter back and forth between them.
Yeah.
The member of parliament for Northton, Okwejetua-Blakwa, intimated at a point that he had no idea about certain developments. But I think in all things, there are some people too who, when they are told to move, will not necessarily take the required actions because they feel, look, in about 50 years, it's never been this bad. You know, so you can apportion blame to many sides, but the point is the people are suffering and something must be done because the spillages are going to continue over the next 2 or so weeks. And you can't leave the people in this state. Some of their buildings have collapsed. Some of them don't have food. Some can't even, you know, in dignity, have a bath. You know, these are, someone had been drinking contaminated water. You know, it's a real problem.
administration comes in. Public administration is nothing but what service to the people. Are we administering the way we ought to do? Are we providing the necessary service? Is that what we are seeing now? But I'm happy and that, yes, the president and his team moved there, apart from the comment he made. That is one plus. The second issue, I had National Health Service quickly moving there, and I like them, I commend them quickly. And so, but for the necessary attention, the stakeholders are saying that the place, the situation calls for what? A declaration of state of emergency, so that more emphasis, more attention can be given to that. Right. I think I am happy this morning, your news item, the security group in that area saying that they are going to advise the government appropriately. We are waiting for them, and then we see that appropriate advice. But all that we need is that the people need support, they need food, shelter, clothing, and then medicine, water, potable water, because all the source of water that they have in the area are contaminated with all manner of things. So we must act very fast and save our people who are in this difficult situation. But I believe that going forward, we need an emergency fund that would deal with that. This morning, I had a news item, and that also gladdened my heart, that the COVID-19 fund, why can't we channel part of it into this exercise?
Right.
And all that.
Especially when they are still charging a COVID-19 levy. Yes. Especially when at this time, when the entire world, the WHO has said this is no longer, it has removed the status and all of that, global pandemic, we're still charging. So we might as well channel some of those
money
funds
going to? Where is that money going to? We have emergency on our hand, invest it in the save lives and properties, and then the rest, you channel it into dialysis program.
Right.
So that it can support the needy, the vulnerable, the poor, and all that. This thing can happen to anybody. This disaster and start. Today is voter reading. Who knows the next day? We are not praying for that. But let us be there at all times to serve our people.
Right. Two quick things.
Administration is nothing but service to the people.
Right. On the back of what you just said, two quick things. One, the people have suggested that, look, where we are is not too far from the Saglemi affordable housing project. We don't have any shelter. Why don't you shelter us there in the interim? And then when things normalize, you can bring us back. And you also mentioned dialysis, that it could be channeled there. You know, on the back of all the Galamsey activity and everything else going on, many people are getting, polluted, so to speak. They are imbibing, absorbing all these chemicals. Mercury, you can even inhale it. And some women are inhaling it and their children are coming out malformed, deformed in a way. All of that also in there. I don't know whether you've seen our latest Hotline documentary, Poisoned for Gold. What are your quick thoughts on those? The Saglemi one, and then many people standing the risk of kidney disease in Ghana on the back of Galamsey.
Yeah, the Saglemi one, I think is appropriate call. I mean, government facilities lying idle and people are struggling. They don't have facility. You call NADMO, yes, they've done their bit, but they don't have all the necessary support. So why can't you put the people there for the time being so that you save life and property? What is the point of losing the human beings when there is a facility that exists in the name of Ghana, which they are entitled to by law? I mean, you put them, it becomes, important for you to put them there to breathe a sigh of relief. The other issue you talk about, about what's the other issue, please?
I mentioned dialysis, poison for gold.
Yes, destruction of the forest, water bodies in the name of searching for gold and other minerals. We have talked about it time and again, and today the reality has dawned on us. You remember, I always say, if politicians will not master the courage and do what is needful and all that, when we talk about Galamsey, they want to shove it under the carpet and say that it doesn't exist and all that, provide evidence, do this, and that substantiate this. The reality will dawn on us very soon. And last time, you remember, you even pointed out the signs of it, that scientists have established the connection between Galamsey and kidney problems and all that. Last I heard your documentary. And it was terrifying in the sense that now food items are being poisoned
Yeah.
And that the gentleman I listened to said that he's afraid to take what certain portions of fish, that is talking about the head and the gills and the rest.
Yeah.
He takes the muscles and all that. We are in difficult situation, and that if we don't address it now, it will consume all of that. But then it comes back to what nothing. What is it that we can gain out of all the things that we claim we want to fight for? And at the end of the day, we end up destroying ourselves. We lose all. So we should think and think twice, and then make sure that we force our leaders. If they are not going to listen to this call, they are not going to attend to our needs and interests. When the time comes for us to renew their mandate, let us shy away from them.
Right.
Because then there are people that who cannot maintain us, who cannot support us to live, normal life. That is the way to go. That's the way to go.
Let's quickly get into some other stories. I'll just reiterate these ones. We've already done the mental health story. I'll just say, rehash what was mentioned there. So the rate at which young people in Ghana are increasingly suffering from mental health conditions is alarming, says specialist psychiatrist at the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Peggy Asiedu-Ekremet. Now, consequently, she has advised parents and guardians to pay keen attention to the mental health of children and adolescents under their care to ensure their holistic well-being. Speaking at a seminar in Accra to mark Mental Health Day, Dr. Ekremet, child and adolescent mental health specialist, said it was imperative that parents paid attention to that aspect of their ward's health. Quoting her, she says, when it comes to children and adolescents below the age of 19 years, when we take 5 at each point, 1 will have a recognizable and treatable mental health condition. Of all the adult conditions of mental health, about 50% would have started before the age of 14. And this is becoming alarming by the day. Just imagine that. If you pick 5 of these young ones, children, adolescents below the age of 19, for every 5, 1 will have a recognizable and treatable mental health disorder. And many of these develop before or by the age of 14, which tells us that we have a long way to go in terms of, because if people grow up with mental health issues, obviously you will not get to tap the best out of them in society. There's also alleged coup plotter denies joining group to topple government. And Lance Air Force Corporal Ali Solomon, one of the 9 persons accused of attempting to overthrow the government, has denied attending the meeting that discussed the alleged plot. LAC Solomon was responding to Ms. Winifred Sapong, a state attorney's statement that Corporal Niankra, the prosecution's 12th witness, had told the High Court that LAC Solomon invited Corporal Ankra specifically to the meeting on June 22, 2018 at the Next Door Beach Resort, Accra. He came to the residence and did not meet me, so I asked him to meet me at the Next Door Beach Resort. It goes on and on, but that's the allegation there. Let me just add this one from the Finder newspaper for a quick response. 1,668 killed in road crashes between January and September 2023. A few details of that. And the road traffic crashes between January and September 2023 have killed 1,668 commuters. This is a 7.4% decrease compared to the 1,801 killed during the first 9 months of 2022. Of course, it doesn't mean that because there's a decrement, we should be happy about the situation. There's much more we can do. But if you look at the significant margin of decrease in deaths or fatalities recorded in the January to September window of 2023, that's the 7.4% could be largely attributed to the level of reductions recorded in deaths by 10.1%, 7.9%, and 9.2% in the Greater Accra, Ashanti, and Eastern regions, respectively. Your thoughts?
I'll look at the crashes on our roads. We have said it time and again. I don't know what I can add. The only thing I can say is that let us remember that even without the police, we owe it a duty to ourselves that we protect ourselves and protect the lives of the rest of the people in Ghana. Defensive driving is that you drive to protect yourself and protect others. The road is not a fanfare platform where you go and have fun and then come home and then people have lost their lives. That's not true. If you know you are not qualified to drive, don't sit behind the driving wheel. No. If you know the car is not fit for purpose, don't put it on the road. And we also expect you, any road user, a driver, or whoever, make sure that you abide by the rules of that game, that there are rules governing driving, and that if you are not interested, please abandon driving and let us save lives. And then it has also something to do with also engineering. There are certain portions of the road that we know that this is problematic. It has taken authorities a long time to fix. In recent times, we have seen virtually Accra, we are in a ghost town. Where are the street lights? Are they working? Yet we pay what?
Apart from the Tema motorway and others, you pass by certain stretches. For example, in front of the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, the Labadi Beach Hotel, you see that stretch, the beach road coming through. Yes. In fact, that beach road, yes, while there's some construction work going on, that portion is crazy, all the way leading into Dungwa. It's a terrible, stretch. And if you're not careful, imagine using that stretch every day. Your shocks, other parts of your car, brakes and all.
Yes, these things can create accident. And traffic lights are not working, some of them, in the city and other places. And then also law enforcement, all right? Yes, we expect the police, they are doing a good job. But the bad ones out of them also should shy away from, saluting people and say, honorable this, that, enforce the rules. There is nothing wrong about you doing your work. So that all these things can be checked. We owe it a duty to ourselves. It's a whole complex process. It can't be blamed on one person. Let us all do the right thing and save ourselves. We don't need any government or police to ensure that. We need to have the presence of mind that we own our lives to ourselves. It's not the police, it's not the state. Let's defend it at all times.
Doc, let's wrap with these two stories. 31 suspected commercial sex workers, human traffickers arrested in Western Region. That's on page 4 of the Finder newspaper. The Western Regional Command of the Ghana Immigration Service, through its Axim Sector Command, has arrested a total of 31 ECOWAS nationals suspected to be syndicates engaged in commercial sex working and human trafficking at their hideouts in the Alembele district and in Zima East municipality of the Western Region. And the two-day intelligence operation actually brought this to bear. But Ghana Police Service, sometimes I'm told a few things, but there's this stretch right here in Kokomlemle behind a certain bank on the other side. Ghana Police Service, are you saying you don't know what goes on in some two hotel-motel settings? It's an entire stretch. If you don't know, you would. I passed by many months ago a number of times, and then I was told what was happening. And you see them there in the evening, lining the place. Ghana Police Service, why is this happening? Why are we turning a blind eye? It's so prominent, yet it's hidden. Let's not pretend about some of these things. And then guarantor abusers will be jailed. That's on page 3 of the Daily Guide newspaper. The Electoral Commission has served notice it will ensure the prosecution of all guarantors who flouted the electoral law in the recently held limited voter registration exercise across the country. Quick thoughts, Doc, and it's a wrap.
Yes. Let's look at the issue you talk about, the human traffic issue and the commercial sex workers and all that. What you said is a situation in Accra. Go to East Legon, places like violation areas and all that. You see people standing there.
Places in cantonments.
Police. Yes.
Yeah, we know. Yes. I don't want to mention the name of the
police saying that they have not seen that. It tells you about enforcement, all right? Our capacity, the regulatory capacity of the state to make laws and enforce them is weak, all right? I'm going to add another one to it. Go to Nsaum. People sell chofi. All right.
Yeah.
This commodity has been banned and it's out there. I mean, in public, people selling and they get away with this. Something that we spend resources, make law against it because of health condition. The stakeholders, people like Professor Bedu, Akusa and Co. They stood firm for this thing to be passed, only to allow it to, be broken and all that. That law. Go to Nsaum and see whether it is effective today. Chofi is sold near the Densu.
That reminds me of the firecrackers. I don't know whether that ban has been lifted though.
I don't know. But law enforcement, we are quick to make a law, but has to enforce them. The US, they will tell you that their lawmaking body is unique in the sense that what they do is that when they pass a law, they go out there and ensure that the law works. I think that is what our parliament must begin to think about. So that they can also work in that unique manner. Guarantor system, yes, This is a system that should not be abused because it has its own advantages and other, and it helps people. It's easy and make life all better. Politicians, individual groups, and other want to abuse it. But the way out is that enforce the law. Okay. Anybody who is caught in, deal with him. That's all.
Right. Doc, thank you so much for joining me this Wednesday morning to get into the details in the papers. We're always grateful. Have a wonderful day. And that is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Quick one, I missed this yesterday before I catch any flack. Belated happy birthday to Thomas Hughes Emisa. Thomas Hughes Emisa, aka Skillful of, I have to take my time with this, Akufo-Addo in Cape Coast and head of audit Olam Agri Limited. It's from your friend and brother Richard Kwejo Nyako. Belated happy birthday. So I'm told it is Akufo-Addo. Hey, Akosombo. Yes, Brofu you do, but Kasa Debi you do. Anyway, to wrap, right before we get into sports, this segment, as always, brought to us by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. Locate them here in the Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumase, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji State Tema Community 22. Techiman Hanso and Siamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. A number of matches were played. England, Italy, Peru, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, among others. Well, some of that coming your way up next in sports.
We have seen a lot together, and through it all, the faces here at Joy News have looked you straight in the eyes and asked the questions you've always wanted to ask. We've been fearless but compassionate. We've been relentless with our probe. We have given you the microphones.
The boy they killed is my best friend.
We here at Joy News are always honored to share each day with you. My name is Ernest Minu, and this is Joy News. Credible, fearless, and independent.
When I took the oath of office as president, I took the oath of office as president of every single individual in Ghana. And whether they voted for me or not, once I have taken the oath, I am the president of all the people. Togbe, you and your elders, I want the people here, you, beginning with you and the elders, to understand that when something like this happens and government acts, government is acting for Ghanaians, all Ghanaians. I came here because Ghanaians are having difficulties and are suffering. And it is my responsibility to try and help. Because if it's a question of counting who votes for me and who doesn't vote for me, I shouldn't be here because you don't vote for me. But that is not my concern. And in any event, one day you will vote for me and my party.